The shortage of housing and high rental costs are issues that many New Yorkers, especially millennials, are struggling with. How do you plan to address this problem?
Issue with rental costs is that there is indeed a high and rate of increases in rental costs in New York City and in parts of Queens. In Queens in particular, I think one of the important things to realize is that, affordable housing creation is an important thing throughout the borough. But here in Queens, we actually have had the least amount of affordable housing created and preserved over the last 15, 20 years under both the Bloomberg mayoral administration and the de Blasio mayoral administration, to the tune of about 3 times less to 4 times less affordable housing created in other parts of the city. And so, if we're going to talk about affordable housing, I think we have to start there. That in order to drive down costs of rentals, we have to provide a public subsidy program through low-income housing tax credits or other affordable housing creation mechanisms in order to create more affordable housing stock in the borough and in New York City. The second important thing to that is that the affordable housing creation is based off of what's called area median income, AMI, and largely AMI is unaffordable to people who actually need the affordable housing because it's based on a tri-state area that's designated by the federal government, HUD. And so if we're going to create affordable housing going forward, number one, not only do we have to create more affordable housing throughout the city, but number two, we have to create a localized AMI number, AMI's rate, so that we can create housing that is more affordable and that could actually be qualified for people who actually need the affordable housing.
Blighted and vacant parcels dot New York City, especially in the outer boroughs. What strategies do you support to put them back into productive use for both families and commerce?
So blighted and vacant homes has actually been an issue that I've been working on since I was in the city council, when we were trying to figure out how do we reclaim some of these properties and at the same time transform them. And in terms of reclaiming, one of the things that I've worked on is to create some sort of a blight tax, because a lot of times we have negligent property owners who pretty much just leave their properties in a dilapidated state, and many times could be dangerous. And so if you implement a blight tax, then we're able to utilize the arrears in taxes in order to capture some of these and put it into some sort of public use then. In terms of public use, one of the things that I've explored is senior affordable housing for a lot of these vacant properties. We call them zombie homes in my area. And so we have quite a bit of them as well. And one of the shortages that we have in my district is senior affordable housing. Now, my district is mostly low density single family homes. And so we want our senior affordable housing and other affordable housing models to emulate that, because our district here, we don't have the infrastructure for higher density in a lot of places. And so what I would like to propose is that we are able to in some way take these properties and turn them into social good and turn them into senior affordable housing units and low density senior affordable housing units that mirror the types of dormitories we can find. We could leave the house intact as in place, so it blends in with the neighborhood, but create maybe like four seniors living there in each room, shared bathroom, shared kitchen, and that could be a model of senior affordable housing you can use for low density single family home neighborhoods like mine, who don't want a larger scale buildings going up, and who want buildings or houses rather that blend in with the community so that it doesn't disturb the community character of the neighborhood. And I think that's one way we can use these houses.
New York has had recent experiences with upzoning, Flushing and Murray Hill, for example. Evidence indicates upzoning capitalizes onto increased land values. What is your view on upzoning?
Generally, I think upzonings can happen throughout the city, and we should do some upzonings. But the important thing to remember is that it has to be done appropriately and in appropriate areas. My district, we are vastly low density, and because of that, the infrastructure reflects that too. And so, if you're going to upzone an area like mine, it won't be able to support it because we don't have the infrastructure in terms of just drainage or traffic studies or public transportation, school seats, access to roads. Like we just don't have that to support a higher density upzoning in my area. In other parts of the city, I think we could definitely do upzonings because they are linked to these things. They already have the infrastructure in place that my district doesn't. I would say though, one thing with upzonings and transforming and redesignating zoning designations, one of the things that I've worked on was a capturing mechanism. When a area is rezoned from low density manufacturing into high density commercial residential, there's a huge value in land that changes when that occurs. And so 15 years ago, I worked on what's called a capturing tax, a land value capture tax, so that the increased value is done by a government intervention. And so there should be some sort of mechanism back so we could utilize that and create more goods for the public. And so in the form of, let's say, a more affordable housing, maybe they could, because the land value rose so much, the developer could then, when the value rises, give back to a trust fund, a community trust fund, a community land fund, and then utilize that to create more affordable housing in the city. It's similar to when the first set of affordable home ownership programs ran in New York City. They didn't realize that, oh, you know what? Creating a single family home ownership in the Lower East Side, they didn't think that these $80,000 homes would eventually turn into multi-million-dollar homes. And we were unable to capture that. And so because the government is playing a role into increasing value of land, we should have some sort of mechanism to be able to capture that. And I think that is the more important thing that we should be talking about, other than, when we talk about like upzonings in parts of the city that could actually support them.
With large development and infrastructure projects such as Hudson Yards and the 2nd Avenue subway extension, would you consider supporting land value capture strategies to return that land value uplift to its creators, the taxpayers?
So I would definitely support a land value capturing mechanism. We saw this actually, it's not a new thing. It's just, I don't think the mechanism has been done in a way that we've really thought about it. And so when we do something like, Hudson Yards, we're creating essentially entirely new neighborhoods and new commercial areas. I remember when Barry Park City was first developed, and back then we were able to sort of create some sort of fund because the value in the new, tens of thousands of people who are going to be coming into Barry Park City was going to increase the value of the land significantly. And so we were able to create like a community trust to help support, local businesses, creation of affordable housing mainly, in some way. And I think when we do mass developments like this, we absolutely should figure out a way to capture some of that so that we can create more benefits going forward. When we are creating these things, we are, when the city, and when I say we, it's the city, when the city is creating and playing an active role in creating so much value in property and in land, which is the most exclusive thing in New York City, we should be able to find some way to benefit the city as a whole when a developer goes in and puts in new apartments, new commercial, or whatever it is, because the value of that land is now so much more significantly valuable than it was before.